It's hard to believe, but we are now on episode 9 of this series as I take you behind the scenes in this Chillicothe project. This is all sponsored by KEH Camera. Huge shout out to them in supporting what I do here on the channel and allowing me the time to focus on a project like this. We'll actually talk about that whole dynamic in this episode. I went on Instagram and asked you guys what you wanted to know this far into the project, like where I'm at and where my head is at. The whole goal of this series is to just show like what my process has been like in hopes that it would show you just, an idea. It would give you just not the only way to go about things, but just one way of doing it and show that if I could do it, then obviously you could. So you guys had tons of great questions on Instagram. So big thanks to all of you who sent a question in, and big thanks to all of you for joining me today. Let's go ahead and just jump right in. Do you find that you've taken as many photographs as there are to take of Chillicothe? Big shout out to Mason, fellow photographer from Chillicothe. I feel like I have barely scratched the surface of making pictures here. I've been driving around, walking around, just taking pictures of and around Chillicothe for the majority of my life. And especially since friend of mine, I haven't really had any conscious efforts on exploring all over Chillicothe. I've just always had my camera with me and made pictures, anywhere I've been around Chillicothe, just in the moment. But with something like this, I've actually been going out and specifically trying to look for places that I just haven't just driven down just specifically to look. There are plenty of areas and pockets of Chillicothe that I just haven't necessarily had a reason to go and explore. So with this, I've just been spending time in my truck driving around a lot more, and especially since we moved back in February, I've just been in a different area in the county. That's changed up my perspective a lot, and it's made me realize just how much more there is to work with, which has just been more exciting. Did this project develop from an idea or as an edit from the bulk of photos you shoot intuitively? Somewhere in between, maybe one, then the other? So originally, with friend of mine, that's how that project came to be. I had been shooting pictures and just carrying my camera with me as I walked around town, and I realized after doing it for maybe a year or so that I felt like there was something there, things were starting to kind of connect, and then I decided to actually make it something. With this, it's been an idea of making a book from the start. So over the years, I've made tons of pictures here, but I haven't really had anything with a project in mind, and I don't know if there's something there, that thread in there with all of just the sort of in-between years. Maybe there is something there, I'm not really sure, but I wanted to approach this with a very specific, really trying to dial in on this specific time in Chillicothe, especially just my relationship with Chillicothe at this time, which also ties in with another question someone sent in. Something like this Chillicothe project can be ongoing for years, as I believe yours has been, or even decades. How do you know when this phase of the project is complete and ready to be showcased or published? I think knowing when something like that is finished or complete, it's just going to be something that you're going to have to feel at some point. It's going to have to be let go of and just put out there into the real world, which is terrifying, and that's why it takes so long to finally put something like that out. For me, all these years, I've been making pictures around Chillicothe and just carrying my camera with me everywhere, but I haven't had a reason or a goal in mind with any of those. I've just carried my camera with me. That's really going to look different for every photographer, but for me and this particular project, I knew that time wasn't necessarily a crucial part where you had to know it was, in 2022. It's not any kind of commentary on anything that's topical right now, but my personal relationship with Chillicothe and kind of focusing on that a little bit, and we'll talk more about that in another question that someone sent in. But I knew I wanted to, make work right now. I didn't want to go into the archives and look for something for this. I wanted to focus on just how I'm feeling right now and actually shoot something new. And for me, having a deadline is a really helpful way of just keeping things moving. So I knew that I wanted to focus on giving myself some sort of time constraint. Otherwise, it would be easy for me to just keep saying, I'm not ready yet. I need more time. I need more time. And then I would just keep the wheel spinning because I'm never going to be 100% ready. There's always going to be a part of me saying, not yet. In fact, one of the reasons I'm even able to focus on this project right now and actually give it like the amount of focus that I've wanted to is because of this YouTube series with KEH, because, you know, they've been a sponsor here on the YouTube channel. This is my main, you know, job now. I'm full-time on YouTube. Huge shout out to all of you who are supporting me, watching these videos, commenting. Cannot wait to just share everything that we've been working on. But with KEH, just pitching to them, you know, this YouTube series, giving me a year to focus on a project and give me the time to work on something. In that time frame, I would make any videos that would be sponsored by KEH. It would just be all about this project, and they were all about it. I needed a way to just sort of like, I feel like everything I've done in my life, and especially with photography, I've just been trying to figure out how to combine all of the things I like, and somehow it's working. Thank you, KEH. But sort of putting myself in like a 1 year time frame, just giving myself that 1 year to shoot and sort of make sense of everything and you know, kind of speak on those things that I've been thinking about in my relationship with Chillicothe and just how I view it, you know, especially so differently from a friend of mine. I know I'm going to be here making pictures in Chillicothe for the rest of my life, and I have so many other ideas and projects and different things that I want to do. So knowing that this isn't like my final book or project about Chillicothe, that takes away a lot of that pressure in thinking like, well, how am I possibly going to make all of this work in a year? And, you know, that's just a personal choice for me. For other people, maybe they would go the other route and they would say, I want to wait, you know, a decade, 2 decades, 3 decades, whatever it may be, and do one specific project, and that's all going to be one book. I don't have time for that. I've got a lot of things I want to pursue, and clock's ticking. That sounded really ominous. Nothing's wrong. Everything's good. I feel like I was the bearer of bad news on this channel for a really long time, but things are good. Yeah, we're thriving here. But another question that sort of talked about this and just my relationship with Chillicothe: in which way has documenting Chillicothe impacted your personal relationship with the city in terms of what it means to you and how to accept the good and the bad? Chillicothe has changed so much since I made the pictures in Friend of Mine. Those were made in 2013 and 2014, and in that time frame, the downtown area especially has changed so much, and there's been so much growth in the area, and a lot of people are coming to Chillicothe, and I've got friends who have started up businesses, and they're thriving. Like, there's so much good and growth that's happened in Chillicothe. And at the same time, Chillicothe still has its issues, and at the same time, Chillicothe has evolved and shifted, and it's sort of finding its identity. And I think myself, and at the same time, you know, I made the pictures in 2013 and 2014, and it was sort of like my love letter to my hometown, and showing people like what it was I thought of when I thought of my hometown, and the charm and what I loved about it. Charm or lack thereof, depending on who you might ask. There was definitely a sort of like romantic kind of mood that I was leaning into a lot when I was shooting that. And nowadays, Chillicothe has changed so much, and I've changed so much, and it's like when I'm walking around Chillicothe and I'm looking at things, it's like I don't know where I'm looking at anymore. Like Chillicothe has changed so much at times it feels like it has this sort of identity crisis, like it doesn't know what it is yet, and that says probably way more about me than it does about Chillicothe. It's just been fun to kind of explore that and sort of look for this like almost ambiguous and sort of confusing thing. Any plans to do some portraits of Chillicothe residents for this body of work? That is actually something I have been thinking about a lot lately. I don't know necessarily that I want to yet, but it's been on my mind constantly. Since I stepped away from weddings and portrait work back in the fall, and just focusing full-time on YouTube and these projects, I have really had that itch to shoot portraits, because I used to love, you know, having that exchange with people in front of the camera. And it's this weird feeling of, you know, if someone asks me to make their picture, they'll have to tell me to stop, because I'll just keep going. I have a lot of fun with it. When it comes to me approaching someone to ask for their picture when they didn't ask me, it just feels like I'm imposing on them, and it's just never been something that's been easy for me. And I don't want to force things for the sake of saying, oh, I need to include people, I need to include portraits. I want to possibly possibly explore it, and I'm not sure how I want to go about it. Actually, that in itself, me typically overthinking everything. Trying to find people to make pictures of would be one thing, but trying to make sure that that person is truly adding anything to the story, because that for me is the biggest thing. If it's just a portrait of somebody, I don't know necessarily that I want to include a portrait just to include a portrait. I want it to actually add to the story. And so how do I, weave that in when it's so much more about myself and sort of my relationship with Chillicothe, and it's less about other people in the area and their stories. I don't know necessarily that this is the project for that. And like I said, I want to do other projects and explore different things. And so part of me is wondering, well, what if I just kind of save that and put that in the pocket for a different project? Knowing when to shift things around and move, you pick up one puzzle piece and realize it goes to a different puzzle. It's kind of one of those things. How do you find financial backing for printing a book if you don't have tens of thousands of dollars to print yourself? How do you find publishers to work with? This is something I unfortunately don't have much experience with. I have never worked with a publisher. I've self-published all of my zines and books. This project itself is also going to be self-published by me under just myself, my own little sort of imprint. More on that soon. But over the years, through, just sharing my work on social media, I've just gained a following over time, over about a decade now. So thank you all who have been here. I cannot thank you enough. And with a friend of mine, what I did was launched a pre-order. So that basically helped get the funding to start the production of the book. I basically put up a pre-order on my website saying, hey, the pre-sale is going for 30 days. If you want to help me crowdfund it, you can help me, kind of jumpstart things. But I knew that in 30 days time, I was going to be sending over the money. So I was just hoping I could get a little bit of that cost up front. And thankfully, everybody here really showed up for me, and that was incredible. And I was able to self-publish that book. We did a run of 1,750 copies, and it sold out. You're all amazing. If you have a copy, a friend of mine, thank you from the bottom of my heart. You changed my life, truly. Personally, I have thought a lot about this, and I have had people approach me since doing Friend of Mine about working with them and publishing a book with them. I'm in a unique opportunity, and I want to be able to have that one-on-one sort of interaction with the people who have been following my work and, are interested in my work. I want to just continue having that, but I also just want to do it my way and just have fun with it. And that's just something that is really important to me and something I want to just remain intact. And I have a lot of plans for it, so can't wait. Last but not least, what's the funniest/spiciest thing someone has yelled at you from a passing car? It's tough to say specifically which one. I would probably have to go with the time somebody told me to and that wasn't even the first time someone said that. If you have made it to the end of the video, let me know in the comments what you thought, and if you have any other questions about the project, let me know what you want to see in the other episodes as well, or just your own thoughts on everything today. Let's just keep the conversation going. I love you all very, very much, and a huge, huge shout out to KEH Camera for sponsoring this episode and this whole series. KEH Camera has been buying, selling, and trading used photography gear for over 40 years now. Whether you need a camera body, a lens, a tripod, a camera bag, or one of those random odds and ends or parts for some of these older cameras, there's always a good chance they have it at KEH. They have a massive inventory, and it's always being updated. Not only that, they have a risk-free 21-day return policy for thousands of their items, along with a 180-day warranty included. If you need to trade in or sell any of your gear, they also have a quoting system on their website that's available 24/7, or you could even schedule a video chat with one of their buyers. Be sure to use the affiliate links below anytime you're shopping with KEH to support the channel. It goes a long way at no extra cost to you. As a matter of fact, for 5% off your order or a 5% bonus on your quote, make sure you use the codes that are on the screen right now. These do change, so make sure you're using the up-to-date code when you're shopping. Thank you again to KEH Camera for sponsoring this video. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all soon.